Welcome, everyone, to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you are here in person or online, we are so glad that you are joining us today. If you would, please set your cell phone to silent before we forget. Today is September 11th, and I don't know about you, but that date just kind of sticks in my throat a little bit. Connie shared with me a web group that is trying to change the narrative of that date and turn it around to be a date of compassion. This group is called the Global Interfaith Compassion Challenge. And they say, although 9/11 has become associated in recent years with terror and conflict, the date across history has been associated with movements of nonviolence, interfaith cooperation, and discovery. For example, in 1893, the First World's Parliament of Religions convened in Chicago on September 11th. On the same date, in 1906, Gandhi introduced nonviolent resistance at a mass meeting in South Africa, and with that, a way of bringing about large-scale societal action through compassion. So I hope that maybe you can reframe that date for yourself. We are a welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, you are welcome here. Our Sunday services are different each week so that we can honor and learn from a wide array of traditions and beliefs. And today's speaker will be delivered via video. It's Phil Lund from the UUA. Though we each walk our own path here in this place on the land of the Osage, the Cherokee, and the Shawnee, and the Yuchi, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, and now at this time, we journey together as one community. For Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of our learning and our love of our community. And Ryan, can I impose on you to light the chalice? I'm sorry, I haven't even gotten it ready. Sorry. Whoever's sitting closest, and I know their name, they're the person. A warning to all future comers. There's an actual box in the thing. Oh, I've really done it today. Okay. As our congregation's chalice is lit, please light your own chalice at home if you have one. You might get it done sooner. The hymn we'll sing as he's doing that is number 362, Rise Up, O Flame. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Our first reading will be read by Roxanne Spencer, A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson.
Good morning. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so, you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
Our first hymn will be number 1008. It's in the teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please rise if you're willing and able. We will now have a few moments for meditation, reflection, and prayer. The singing bowl will lead us into silence. After the silence, you're invited to join in the song, Spirit of Life. The words will be on the screen. Eileen Arnold will conduct our responsive reading. It's number 470 in your hymnal.
Hi, everybody. I will read the regular type, and it's up to you to really pull it out for the italic type. We affirm the unfailing renewal of life. Rising from the earth and reaching from the sun, all living creatures shall fulfill themselves. We affirm the steady growth of human companionship. Rising from ancient cradles and reaching for the stars, people of the world over shall seek the ways of understanding. We affirm a continuing hope. That out of every tragedy, the spirits of individuals shall rise to build a better world.
As mentioned earlier, Unitarian Universalists have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many traditions. Here today to show his own thoughts via video is Phil Lund. Reverend Phil Lund has over 25 years of experience serving congregations in the areas of faith formation and spiritual growth, first as a religious educator in Bloomington, Indiana, New York City, and Chicago, Illinois, and most recently as a congregational life consultant working for the Mid-America region of the Unitarian Universalist Association. He holds a Master of Divinity degree from Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago and a certificate in interspiritual counseling from One Spirit Learning Alliance in New York. He lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, with his wife, Julia, and their sons, Henry and David. I present to you Phil Lund.
We're able to quickly pivot to gathering online. It wasn't and still isn't quite the same. Doing church has changed dramatically since the pandemic struck, but the need for change wasn't necessarily caused by the pandemic. The general attitude toward religion in America was already in the midst of a marked transformation, a transformation that has only been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost 15 years ago, Holly Ann Lux Sullivan, a UU minister who is currently a bereavement counselor in North Carolina, delivered a sermon that exemplifies how the attitude toward religion has changed in the United States. In a Barnes & Noble before Easter, she writes, I watched a woman glance at a table of books and make a face like she just tasted something awful. Then she hurried on by as if she were afraid the books would bite. Curious, I looked to see what she had grimaced at. All the books on the table were about religion, primarily Christianity. They had titles like Misquoting Jesus and What Jesus Really Meant. All I could think was, is this what we've done to God? Is that what we've done to religion? Is American religion today in such a sad state that when someone sees a table full of religion books in a bookstore, she scurries away and looks like she's going to be sick? The answer is yes, says Lux Sullivan. This is what we've done to religion. And the truth is, something has happened to religion over the last few decades. Fewer and fewer people are members of religious organizations, and more people are identifying as spiritual but not religious, or nuns. In fact, There were a few polls and surveys released last year that make clear just how profound these changes have been. Consider this headline from an article on Gallup's website: U.S. church membership falls below majority for first time. And the story highlights, in 2020, 47% of U.S. adults belong to a church, synagogue, or mosque, down more than 20 points from turn of century. Change primarily due to rise in Americans with no religious preference. Even though I've been aware of this decline since I was in seminary over 20 years ago, I was still shocked to see it. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. I was shocked. This graph from the Gallup article shows just how dramatic the downturn is. According to the article, Americans' membership in houses of worship continued to decline last year, dropping below 50% for the first time in Gallup's 8-decade trend. In 2020, 47% of Americans say they belong to a church, synagogue, or mosque, down from 50% in 2018 and 70% in 1999. U.S. church membership was 73% when Gallup first measured it in 1937 and remained near 70% for the next 6 decades before beginning a steady decline around the turn of the 21st century. This milestone of church membership falling below 50% of Americans is truly alarming, and it's especially alarming for small congregations. And frankly, it leaves me a little disheartened. I truly believe being part of a religious community, be it a church, synagogue, or mosque, has real benefits: spiritual, emotional, even physical. Along with the decline in membership, there's been a drop in worship attendance too. The latest Faith Communities Today survey reports that there has been a decline in median worship attendance among U.S. congregations since 2000, the year they started tracking trends in the U.S. religious landscape. 20 years ago, the median worship attendance was 137. In 2020, that number was 65, a 50% drop in attendance. This fall off is consistent among all congregations. It doesn't matter if their membership is growing, plateauing, or declining. So, what are we supposed to do with this news? In her sermon, What Can We Do for Religion Today?, Holly Ann Lux Sullivan offers this suggestion: being hopefully realistic in the face of adversity is what we can do for religion today. It's a great idea, but to be honest, being hopefully realistic at this point in the 21st century can be difficult. There are so many heartbreaking things happening right now. More and more of the Antarctic ice shelf is falling into the ocean. Over 800,000 Americans dying of COVID. The foundations of the democratic society being threatened at home and around the world. The refusal by many of our fellow citizens to confront the racial and economic injustices of our society. Still, I think there is some hope to be found, but to get there we need to start with being realistic. We need to go a little deeper into what this decline in church membership means for us as Unitarian Universalists, especially those of us whose primary experience of Unitarian Universalism is in small congregations. To do that, I'd like to take a look at another survey that came out last year, this time from the Public Religion Research Institute. What I like about PRRI's 2020 Census of American Religion, which was published last July, is that it actually includes Unitarian Universalists, just barely. If you look at this chart from their census, you'll see that Unitarian Universalists are the last religious group they mention by name, right before other religion, which is where most other surveys of religion put UUs. And you'll note that folks who identify as Unitarian Universalists are an incredibly small percentage of Americans, 0.2% of the population, smaller than the percentage of those who identify as Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, Jehovah's Witness, and certainly smaller than those who identify as Protestant or Catholic. We are, and always have been, a very small religious group in the United States and around the world. And I believe that this is the first reality we need to face. With fewer and fewer people identifying with any religion, and with increasingly smaller numbers of those who do identify with a religion actually attending a church, synagogue, or mosque, the potential for small congregations to attract new people decreases. The PRRI census mentions another reality that I think we must face. Unitarian Universalists are one of the oldest groups in terms of median age. The median age for all Americans is 47. For white evangelical Protestants, it's 56. For white Catholics, it's 54. And for Unitarian Universalists, it's 53. By contrast, the median age of those who identify as unaffiliated is 38, 36 for Buddhists and Hindus, and 33 for Muslims. The reality is that we are collectively older and have been that way for some time. Here's a third reality I believe we need to face up to. Unitarian Universalists are, along with Hindu and Jewish Americans, most likely to have college degrees. 53% of Unitarian Universalists have 4-year college degrees or higher, compared to 36% of the US population, age 25 and older. 36% is, by the way, the same percentage of the religiously unaffiliated who have a 4-year college degree or higher. That's the reality then. We are a very small group in terms of the percentage of Americans who identify as Unitarian Universalists, 0.2%. We also are an older group in terms of our median age, 53, 15 years older than the median age of the unaffiliated. And in terms of educational attainment, we have more in common with Hindu and Jewish Americans than we have with Americans who identify with other religious groups. There's one more reality check I'd like to offer, and this one comes directly from our UUA, specifically the membership statistics from 1961, when the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Church of America merged, to 2020. In 1961, there were 1,035 congregations with 151,557 adult members and 77,546 RE enrollments. In 2020, there were 1,027 congregations with 152,921 adult members. Not bad, eh? Only 7 fewer congregations and 1,364 more adult members. But here's the reality. In 2020, there were only 34,768 RE enrollments. That means when we look at the combined adult membership and RE enrollments, we've gone from 229,103 in 1961 to 187,689 in 2020, a decline of 41,414. Back in 2005, Larry Ladd, the UUA financial advisor, said this in his report to General Assembly. For 4 years in a row, I have written in this report that the declines in religious education enrollments should be a warning signal for our movement. And indeed, less than 5 years after Ladd shared his warning, the adult membership in the UUA began to decline after years of small but steady growth, and it continues to decline to this day. So here's the reality. Unitarian Universalism in America is a small group of older, educated adults that is declining in numbers, and that was before the COVID-19 pandemic struck. At this point in the sermon, I wish I could get to the hope, but we need to acknowledge that the pandemic has exacerbated the impact of these realities. Here's what a recent article in the Wall Street Journal says about the situation. The number of churchgoers has steadily dropped in the U.S. over the past few decades, but COVID-19 and its lockdown restrictions accelerated that fall. In-person church attendance is roughly 30 to 50% lower than it was before the pandemic. While religious leaders expect some rebound once the pandemic recedes, many don't expect attendance to return to previous levels. And as Rob Dyer, lead consultant for Ministry Architects, said in a blog post last September, as our society is opening up more and more, people are starting to pick up the weight of busy lives again. With the pandemic and virus variants over their heads, people are finding that they have a reduced capacity for weight bearing. Even joyful activities are getting sidelined in this new normal. Now the church is realizing something not just about young adults, but about people of all ages in our churches. They're not coming back. The super volunteers who used to carry 20 positions in the church are now looking to do just a few things. Our regular attenders are becoming semi-regular, and fringe folk are falling away. Church consultant Carrie Nieuwhof is even more explicit. The great return to church has become the great realization. Maybe they're not coming back. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. So enough with the reality already. Where's the hope? It may seem simplistic, maybe even corny, but when I think about the hope for Unitarian Universalism, I think about the 1,000 plus UU congregations around the country, and more importantly, the people who keep those congregations going. In other words, I'm thinking about you, each of you, the ones who are still here after all the hardships and heartbreaks of the last 2 years. But what does it mean to still be here as we enter the third year of the COVID-19 pandemic? Consider this distinction from Carrie Nieuwhof. Pre-COVID, in growing, plateauing, and declining churches, you could break people down who were part of your church into two primary categories: members and attenders, and engagers. Think of members and attenders as just that, people who joined your church and or people who attended but rarely moved beyond that. Think of engagers, on the other hand, as, well, members and attenders who engaged in a way far beyond church attendance. Before the pandemic, it was possible for most congregations to survive with this sort of division between members, attenders on one hand, and engagers on the other. But the current reality is different. As Rob Dyer said, super volunteers are now looking to do just a few things. Regular attenders are becoming semi-regular, and fringe folk are falling away. The Gallup poll report put it this way: churches are only as strong as their membership and are dependent on their members for financial support and service to keep operating. Because it is unlikely that people who do not have a religious preference will become church members, the challenge for church leaders is to encourage those who do affiliate with a specific faith to become formal and active church members. This is pretty much what Carrie Nieuwhof suggests when he says, turn your remaining attendees into engagers. And like most of the things that I've been talking about today, this is not an idea that's new with the pandemic. The need for attenders to be more fully engaged with their congregations has been around before COVID-19. Here's another story from a minister that occurred around Easter time. It's from the Irreverent blog by Aaron Wathen on the website Patheos. I was writing my weekly note to the congregation, a few days late because I took Monday off and it's all downhill from there. Usually in this note, I share a few words about the message for Sunday so we can all be reflecting on the same topic throughout the week. It makes the sermon more of an ongoing conversation. I sometimes discuss something that's going on in the life of the church as well. But this week, it was more of a thank you note, because when I think about how much work my church folks did over the last few weeks to get our place ready for Easter, it blows my mind. And as I look around the property, I can see the fruits of many hours of shared labor. Sparkling windows and floors, finely manicured landscaping, dramatic paramounts hung with a complex pulley system by dedicated house elves in the wee hours. And then I start thinking about the work of the worship team, the children's ministry team, and musicians, not to mention the greeters, handshakers, bulletin hander-outers, and coffee makers, and the youth group out there hiding eggs for the little ones, plus more behind-the-scenes workers I have not mentioned. Just thinking about it makes me overwhelmed with gratitude. It's enough to make my mascara run. I'm not crying, you are. In writing this note to my people, I wrote that it takes a whole village of volunteers to make all of this happen. But then I found myself hitting the backspace button because volunteer is not quite the right word for what our people do at church. I know I'm not the only one who cringes when someone sees me without kids in tow and asks if my husband is babysitting. Well, no. I mean, yes, he is at home with the kids tonight, but I do not think you can effectively say babysitting when it's your own dang kid. I'd say we could just call that parenting. I feel the same way when people talk about volunteering at church. And yes, I know it's just a word, but it's the wrong word for a lot of reasons. To volunteer means that you are an outside resource stepping in to help an organization in need. Volunteering is what you do when we pick up trash at the park, or build a house with Habitat, or help sort food at the local food pantry. Volunteering is what I do at my kids' school on Fridays. In other words, it's what you do at a place that is important to you, but not at a place that belongs to you. And I guess that is the important distinction for me. You cannot volunteer at your own church in the same way you cannot babysit your own kid, because the church belongs to you in the same way your family does. It's your own place, your own people. So of course you help take care of it. Of course you do yard work and make coffee and teach the kids and sing in the choir and whatever else it is you do for the home and the people that you love. It's your own place, your own people, so of course you help take care of it. This was true in 2017 when Aaron Wathen wrote those words, and it's 10, 20, 100 times truer in 2022. The hope for our congregations lies in all of us doing what needs to be done to make sure our spiritual homes are here for the people that we love. And in doing so, we're making sure that our congregations are here for the people in our communities who are still seeking a spiritual home, people who share our common values of believing in the worthiness of every person, showing compassion and fairness, accepting others for who they are, growing through a personal search for truth, leading with democratic spirit, working for justice, understanding that everything is interconnected, and building a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. If our congregations have any hope of surviving, this is it. Even the Wall Street Journal acknowledges that a tighter congregation of devoted members will be stronger in the long run. Now is the time to heed the advice of Carey Nieuwhof, who asks us to focus on the people who stayed, not the people who left, and embrace our new church. To close, I'd like to offer this reading from Starhawk called Community Builds Strength. It sums up perfectly why it's so important for each of us to embrace our congregations and do what needs to be done to make sure our spiritual homes are here for the people that we love. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free. May your congregation be such a place.
Powerful words. We may be hearing more from him in the future in person. Just a little FYI. As part of our responsible search for truth and meaning, we encourage thoughtful discourse. After the service, you are invited to join in discussion here in this sanctuary. This congregation and the work we do is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who contribute. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. You may place your donation in the plate on the way out, use the QR code on the screen, or donate via our website. As we enjoy the music, the offering will be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. We thank you for these gifts. May we use them wisely in the service of our congregation and our community. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our behind-the-scenes volunteers who made this service possible today. Matt Hazel is our technical director, and of course our musicians, Forrest, Ryan, and John. Thank you for sharing your time and talent with our community. It was our lucky day. Now it's time for some community news. Diane has a couple things that she would like us to keep in mind this week.
As part of UUA The Vote, I've committed our church to 350 postcards. And I want you to keep in mind that a church in San Francisco, UU Church, did 5,000, and they did 350 one Sunday. So if you could help out, that'd be great. Dean has been working on some, and my artist back there has been doing this side. Instead of buying postcards, I'm using index cards. I've sent a whole bunch during the primaries, and this is cheaper. I also need people, if they can't write today, if you could just put in some money for stamps, because they're going to be about 45 cents each to send these. The second thing is the homeless room in the inn has reached out. They would like us to shelter. I told them we could not at this time, but we can help them with some lunches. And so I signed us up for 2 times this month to make 30 sack lunches. I'm going to prepare some pork barbecue, and so I've put out some, I think we've filled everything except for fruit. So we need either a whole fruit, I would suggest not apples, something like something softer, bananas, oranges, or fruit cups. And we need someone or multiple people to get enough for 30 sack lunches. So if you can help with these after church, thanks very much. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you. All of you.
Diane, will you be in the fellowship hall doing the postcards?
Yes, I will be. And we do have light refreshments over there, so we can gather out all over the place, help yourself to coffee.
Already.
Take them home and fill them out and bring them back. I can't give away. I'd rather not. I have these. I can let you take them home, yes. But you just can't address them. I'll do that later. So that'd be great. That'd be fine. That'll work.
Alrighty. Thank you for that opportunity to be present in our community. I appreciate that, Diane. We are going to, the Wild Ones is going to do a plant sale again on October 8th, and we have traditionally run a yard sale alongside of that. Is there anyone interested in putting out a yard sale stuff? What we haven't done in the past is just you bring your stuff, put it out in front of your car, and then you take it back with you. I have stuff to bring. Is anyone else bringing anything? Will you, Eileen? Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, thank you, Christina. I keep thinking each year, I don't have any more stuff. This is it. Finally, I've culled everything out, but that is not a case once again. We are doing the Scarecrow Trail. Erica is helping with that. If you have any great ideas or a theme, I sure would love to hear it. So see me about that. And the Pumpkin Trail. I have some ideas on that, but if you would like to help, I would love that. This is a way we can be present in our community and be known. So thank you. That's what I have at this time. Anything else sneak on there? No, we're good. If you have any questions about Unitarian Universalism or joining this congregation, we invite you to speak to our board president at president@uubgky.org. As always, you can find more news by reading the email updates and Facebook. Our last hymn today is number 1017, Building a New Way. You can rise if you're willing and able. Mark Robinson will read our final reading, May You Be Filled, by Eric Williams.
May you be filled with the blessings of this covenanted community. May you carry them with you as you depart from here. May you discover the places in the world where these blessings are needed. May you have the courage to share them. May there be an open place within you to receive the blessings of the people whom you will meet along the way.
We will now bid farewell to those who have joined us online. We hope you found this service meaningful, and we invite you to join us again. Be well and go in peace.